be the 30th of May 2026, meaning time has actually flown and we are covering up the second quarter of the 2026. Friends who have actually had their visas cancelled in Canada, we've seen a lot more of conversations going around those in the kingdom of Cambodia. I'm very grateful that government came out to clarify on that. But in the same vein, Arsenal supporters, today's the day. Today is the day. If you support Arsenal, today is the day. My, oh my, I just can't wait. The reason why I'm saying today is the day, it's you guys just had to you brought up quite a lot more, miss. And Sam, I hear you when you say that no, it's not going to be that big. My wife supports Arsenal, and you could tell the vibe that was on that day when they won after 22 years. See, I used to look at Arsenal way back when they had the unbeaten run, when we still had Thierry Henry and the others. Ebintu nebigenda bishuka mwao. We are hoping for PSG to do the best to some of us. But in the same vein, we want to wish you the best of luck. I am not so much of a sports guy, but I enjoy seeing you guys go by the Roman circus model. Like when you're all fitted in so well, I'm just like, oh God. Congratulations to those that are getting married today. If your wedding is today, congratulations. Mm. Today we have people who are getting married. Today we are having people who are seeing the fathers to the bride for the very first time. Every man's fear is that, but you have to face it. At the end of the day, whatever age it is, you have to meet some woman's father. So the earlier you do it, the better. Well, to those that have seen their firstborns this early morning, congratulations. I understand some of you are listening in to the Man Cave Best in Hospitals. You're best in hospitals as you're listening to this. Can I have some more water, please? Thank you. Nyanziza. You're listening to this. You had a baby last night. It could be a son, a daughter. We really want to congratulate you as Mankev UG. You added onto the tribe. And to the men listening into this conversation, today happens to be the week where another element comes in shape. This happens to be the school fees week. It happens to be the school fees week. There is a video that I saw online of a man walking in deep thoughts. He's trying to contemplate how best is this going to be handled. And I think this conversation today is going to be for us as men to learn on how best to leverage on the knowledge and the information we have on how to avoid these kind of pressures, especially school fees. That's the conversation we're having today. Men are having quite a lot more of mental health. This is something that we shouldn't sweep under the carpet. But I strongly believe that it starts with us. If you don't speak about something, there is no way something is going to fix itself. You have to speak about it. So whenever I see these memes and videos of school fees week, and men are really troubled, two things are happening. One, the man was not in charge and did not have a conversation around the reproduction season. When you had children, when you're having as many children as you wanted, you never thought about these days. Please note, women will always love to have children. They will always tell you every child comes with a risk. As a man, you you need to make that decision. No matter how she tells you, oh, my ovaries, I'm feeling butterflies. Give that laughter, and she will know that this won't actually work. So, we're going to dissect this conversation, not just from the emotional bit of it, the economical bit of it, but equally the planning. I keep telling every man, whenever I get a chance, we are a generation of grandfathers who are not going to have anything to say that failed us as to why we didn't deliver. The absurd bit of life today is that there won't be evidence that you tried. That is the one thing. Kyenje ennaku ekyasinza okubeerawo nti abantu tebajja kubeera na bujulizi kulaga nti Sam wagezaako, nti Aaron wagezaako, nti Mark wagezaako. So you have to do it, no matter how hard this is going to be. So this is the conversation we're going to be having today. And because it's a men's world and the pressures are quite very different, today we are going to speak kwa ujumla. Kindly ask for the microphone and we speak about this. How do you navigate pressures, especially the provider pressures? See, provider pressures don't go only on the element of school fees. There are other bits of provision. I saw something that appeared to be like a woman lately on online saying, I want a man to take care of me, but you must not be poor. You must and my first question was, is she lame? Because I saw she has legs, she has arms. And in our circles as men, we're discussing what has actually brought on this, where we are having women coming outrightly. Okay, some women coming outrightly in public, and they're giving us their standard of what they want, basing on that, and we jump into it because kirabika bulungi kito, kirina isupu, that kind of thinking. It actually takes us into the provider pressure later in life. My name is Andrew Chamagira, and on behalf of Mankev UG, I'm going to moderate this conversation with my colleagues that are joining me soon or later. I already see Mwalimi is here with me. Emmanuel is here with me. Emmanuel is an expert in gender studies. He's a man who believes in equity and equality. Yet some of us who believe in equity. Issues of equality don't they don't come quite very easy on our end. But we're going to have this conversation looking at the mental health. If you're a man and you're going through a provider pressure, it could be for your children, it could be for even those you're taking care of, even your baby. Your first baby is your wife. That is your baby. Your first baby is your wife. Taking care of her sometimes could get a little bit a daunting experience. So ask for the microphone and let's go through this. Some men are saying, Anze, your school fees in Nabimala, I'm never under pressure. Please pick the microphone and tell us what you're doing and how you go about it. Let's share. Listen, as men in today's generation, the best way we can actually be better is when we share information. One thing that actually is struggling with, someone has written about it. I think I posted that on my WhatsApp status this week, and Eric Zakaria reached out and said, Chamagero, you're so. I'm like, Mugisha, that is it. Everything we're struggling with as men, someone has written a book about it, someone has done a podcast about it, there is an audio book about it. Until you look out for that particular content, you're still going to be struggling. So as men, let's face it. I mean, let's talk about it. Let's find a way to talk about this. It could be someone's pressure is school fees, and yet you, Gwewolinga, your pressure is madamu takyantegeererako ddala ndi byange. The provider pressure is actually different. It could be your relatives are putting you on the leash and they want you to provide for everything. It could be your siblings for whom you've provided for a number of years, but they still don't understand the magnitude of sacrifice you're going through. So we are having experts here who are going to help you understand that. But for proof of life, let me confirm that my team is well and doing great. Emmanuel, how are you holding up and how has this week been for you?
Woo. Good morning, Chairman, and good morning, everyone. I just realized that anytime I hosted Man Cave, I never mentioned my name like the way you do.
Really?
Ah, I just start quietly and then life keeps going. But anyway, I'm doing quite well. I'm a bit more engaging with literature um, to help me understand my focus area. It's interesting when I tell people what I'm doing. I'm just doing what we call politics of climate change adaptation. Basically, try to see issues related to funding that comes up all the way to the national level and it translates into adaptation interventions. So I want to understand the issues related to whether it is addressing the actual problems on ground or not, but also what are the other effects that these interventions produces. So I'm reading a lot in terms of policy, in terms of critical stuff. Yeah, all good. Family is good. Yeah, I think that is it that I can say for now. How are you doing
What
yourself,
does
Chairman?
what does yeah mean? I hear
Yeah,
you
yeah
saying
means yes.
family is good.
Those of us who were not lucky enough and or I should say, we probably may not want to be in the US now. Along the way, the people you engage with use some of those slangs and then you pick them. Yeah. How are you yourself, Chairman?
Well, I am well, thank God. I'm very glad and very gracious to God that He has given me a gift of life. I'm still alive and doing well. I have rested enough, thank God, and my
Mm,
family is good. I really want to appreciate God, and my parents are really good. So I'm grateful to life, for lack of a better word. I'm very grateful, and I think it's such an honor to still be alive today.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
something that you say you never know what life is or what it means to have a healthy life until you see someone in the hospital and the family is just saying, Emmanuel, you just drink this one spoon of porridge for us. Hmm? And that is when you get to realize that when you are able to chew kanyama, eh, you just have to appreciate God for that.
Well, for me, I think I have gone to a level, Emma, where everything is one day at a time.
Mm,
I am not um I am not one who is driven by years, because we live in decades. And because we live in decades, I understood the analogy and the approach of living in seasons. If you're living in winter season, however much you want summer, it won't come. You have to adjust to the winter and
yeah,
you allow it to actually go through. But being grateful and appreciative of what God has given me, I think the one thing I've seen as men, we take things for granted most of the time. We don't pray. We think everything is going to work out easily. I was talking to a friend of mine who is in the US and he no longer prays. And I told him, why don't you pray? Because in our conversation, he seemed to be really delusional for me. He said, Chamagero, you see, the doctrine they teach you in Africa of you want a car, you need to pray and fast. You want a good marriage, you need to pray and fast. The time I've spent in America, I've realized everything is about you doing what you have to do. And I told him, well, I hear you on that, and I don't disagree. But the reality is, there has to be a supreme being above you. Um, and it's a conversation we disagreed with him, but it has happened to hit me that most of the times, as men in the line of chasing life, in the line of chasing money, in the line of chasing fame and power, we actually forget about God. And it just becomes a second priority. There are men on this space who have not even taken a month or two or a year without kneeling down and say, you know what? I'm just a being. I just need guidance. Because even things that are stressing us mentally, it's because we don't take some times and we seek spiritual reawakening, spiritual recalibration. We think we are more knowledgeable. We think we are more wealthy. We think we are more intellectual. We are scientific. We can demystify and decrypt a lot of things. There is a book called Madrabrata. I don't know that you've read about it. Emma, have you read about that book?
No, no.
Uh, Madra,
As
it's.
usual, as you always do, just shoot it in the group and then we can pick up
Oh
from
dear,
there.
I will try. It is a book of spirituality. That's where all these religions we subscribe to actually have their hinge, their anchor. And the more I was reading about it, I was like, okay, this is something really deep. Mahajra Nisragata. That's how it comes from the Indians bit of things, but it directed me to a book in I think it was written by King Solomon. Either it's in Proverbs or something, where he says that I have wealth, I have power, I have women. This guy had 1,000 women, 700 concubines, and 300 wives. This guy still had time to kneel before God and pray. Just
Yeah,
imagine
so
that.
let me just so if you find yourself in
Mm.
I don't want to call them competition because we have been promoting collaborations and its
Oh,
relevant
yes. Mm.
impact there. But let us look at it from when you are, I should say, bidding or applying for some jobs, opportunities, scholarships, and stuff.
Mm.
You see that when you look at your grades or your past experiences, you don't want to think that you are the only best candidate
Mm.
for that opportunity. And for me, that is where the aspect of divine intervention comes. You know,
Mm.
you can go through the processes, you can have the experiences and all things, but at the point where decisions are being made, all things being equal, assuming that they even want to consider the evidence that you've presented, that is where divine intervention becomes important. Because man, there are a lot of things that happen beyond the physical realm. And anytime I pick my bag moving from home, my mother will always tell me, never forget your God. And so, in as much as sometimes we might be successful in one way or the other, or we think we have hold of things, I think I agree with you. It's always good to fall back and ask yourself, why me? Why not other person? But also, how am I able to do this irrespective of my inefficiencies? And that is where you realize that there is a force that keeps you going, one that directs your path, and one that even when everything is gone, you can raise your head, look through the window, and then you see the happen as a reminder that
Absolutely.
you know, yeah, I'm still there for you, and you can still keep going. So yeah,
I
that's it.
I love that. And you see, Emma, that happens not because you're weak, but because
Yeah,
power without altar becomes danger. That is one thing I've learned.
exactly.
Power without altar becomes danger. A man who is not submitted to anything higher than his appetite will eventually, time is only the factor there, will eventually be governed by his appetite. You know, your anger will then become the law. Your desires will become your direction. Your ego will become your God. And when ego becomes your God,